You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry Sanderson on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Leading 23rd triple-double of the season for Sacramento. College basketball, McNeese, Colgate, and Montana State win their conference tournament titles to advance to the NCAA tournament.
Inside the Locker Room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
And good morning. Welcome into a Thursday edition of Inside the Locker Room. I cannot keep my days straight this week with being spring break, but it definitely is a Thursday, right, Justin? He's shaking his head yes, so it is the Thursday edition of Inside the Locker Room. 205-342-9904 is the phone number if you'd like to get in with us this morning. The X account's at Locker Room 109. There's a program out at the University of Alabama, in my opinion, has been a little bit unprofessional X this morning. I'll tell you who that is here in just a minute. But at Locker Room 109, at Barry Sanderson, at Wimp Sanderson 1. The email address for the show is wimpandbarry@yahoo.com. Download the Tide 100.9 app to your smartphone, and you can take us with you anywhere you go. All the colors, yellow is the most important, at least when it comes to building outdoors. You're going to build that fence, that deck, that pergola. You want to build to last. Use Yellowwood brand pressure-treated pine from Great Southern. The product protects against rot, fungal decay, and termite attack. Go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that is closest to you. And always remember, if it doesn't have that yellow tag on it, you don't want it. What I'm referring to, Dad, is Alabama softball. Nah. They went to Florida State and beat them 4-1 last night on their official Twitter, or X, Alabama at Alabama SB. They tweet out, "Can't blame the committee tonight. Team 28, hashtag Team 28, hashtag Roll Tide." They need to put hashtag Bush League. For the university softball, that's a fan putting that out, okay, but for them to put that out, in my opinion, is Bush League. Can't blame the committee tonight. Obviously talking about the committee overlooking the football team that went 13-0. Come on, Patrick Murphy. Don't go there. And I know he doesn't run the Twitter account, but if I were him, I would get that off immediately. Good morning, Dad. How are you this morning?
Doing okay. We're going to have a continuation today with Gary Waits on, and tomorrow in the first hour, we're going to have Melvin Cheatham. Melvin's good, too. Both these guys played great for me in the tournaments. Gary played great in Tennessee the whole time he's here, but the Tennessee game especially, when we won it in Nashville, Melvin was a big winner, a big player for us down at Orlando when we won it down there, so it'll be fun for you. The Vanderbilt players called their girlfriends at the half of the Arkansas game and said, I may not get down to Destin tomorrow. Looks like we're going to win this game. And all of a sudden, Arkansas came back. They called them back and said they'd be there. So they were ready to go to Destin, and Arkansas got by Vanderbilt. They'll play South Carolina. The winner of the South Carolina game will play Auburn. It should be the only really great game today. Maybe the other games you like. But Arkansas moves on. Bless Missouri's heart. I pulled so hard for them last night. Had a 5-point lead with a minute 40, 50 to go. Got beat. Very difficult to go 0-19 to get your team to practice, to get your team to play. I don't know. I think the guy's a pretty good basketball coach. Personally, has some problems with their personnel. I don't know if they'll let him go or not. I hope they don't. He's got good character, I think, from what I can understand. Anyway, they get beat by a Georgia team. It's okay. And Georgia will play Florida today, and that will be the last game. In between that game and the South Carolina Arkansas game, you can see Texas A&M and Ole Miss, kind of a replay of that. So, okay games today. Opens at noon with Mississippi State and LSU. We'll see what happens there. State's fighting for a position to play. Cincinnati got beat. Cincinnati beat Kansas 20 last night. Kansas held out to their better players. Barry's favorite team won, McNeese, and going to the NCAA tournament. Clemson played like a pack of dogs. They got beat by BC, and I don't know. Alabama, but I guess I don't know what's happened to them. Penn State beat Michigan, and that's about all I know there. Chris Beard got a new 1-year extension. They only have 4 years there, so I guess they added the year that he's here. They liked him, so they're giving him the extension back to 4 years to coach at Ole Miss. When Nick Saban came back and visited with the players, all they talked about was not kind of team they were going to have, but how much money they were going to get, and a little bit about their playing time, and it bothered him a great deal. Derrick Henry is going to Baltimore. I don't know why. Barry might know. I don't know why he let Derrick Henry go. I thought he was a heck of a player. But anyway, there's got to be a reason for it. He's leaving the Titans and going to Baltimore. So we'll see what happens there. The running back coach at Ohio State, who's been there since 2015, a long time, may not be exact date, is heading to Michigan. He's supposed to be a good recruiter, so they got disgruntled coaches there. They were 88 and out the gate. There's one other thing I wanted to mention before I get out of here, and I can't think what it was, but I'll think about it in a minute, just in time to interrupt. So, oh yeah. Can you imagine the NCAA has said you can transfer when you get through, you can transfer some more as long as you're in good shape. Let me explain something to you. What coaches do. They make darn sure when you transfer to their school, you are in good shape. They get you in good shape. They've checked about you being in good shape, NCAA president. So, there's baloney about, I transferred and all of a sudden I'm not in good shape. Baloney baluki. They can transfer anytime you want to, get mad at your coach, not playing enough, not getting enough money, 88 and out the gate. That's it.
They say when you transfer, you lose like 20% of your classes. Is that true, Justin? Not everything. If I go from Alabama to, Ohio State, not all my stuff is going to go to Ohio State. They may not have the exact same major. I don't even hear people even talk about that anymore. These degrees are not even. Do we even talk about academics anymore? Does there anything you can do to be ineligible anymore, Justin?
There's academics at the university.
Exactly. How about? I'm going to tell you who is the star of the year or the star of the month is Calvin Ridley's agent. Good night. I mean, Calvin Ridley's a good football player, but good. Did you see the contract he got?
No, I didn't.
Golly. Well, he signed with the Tennessee Titans. Calvin Ridley, who was suspended a year for gambling.
What's his name? Go ahead.
He got a contract 4 years, $92 million, $50 million guaranteed. He's going to make $22.245 million a year. $50 million guaranteed and $92 million for Calvin Ridley, who is a good player, but I don't follow the NFL that closely. Is he one of the elite receivers, Justin, in the NFL?
Yes.
Really?
He's maybe top 10, and maybe he's 10.
So when your little Johnny wants to be running back on his little league football team, tell him, no, little Johnny, you need to go be a receiver. You don't want to be running back. We don't pay the running backs.
And he turns 30 in December.
We pay the quarterbacks, and we pay the wide receivers, and we pay the defensive backs. The running backs, everybody wants to be the running back in Little League. Forget that. Take me to the receiver spot. Is Calvin really, are any of these guys worth that kind of, first of all, the Titans aren't even going to win. They just gave up Derrick. They didn't re-sign Derrick Henry. Maybe they wanted to go more of a passing. I think Will Levis is going to be their quarterback. I don't know. Am I the only one that's that shocked that he's getting $50 million guaranteed a $92 million contract to Calvin Ridley? Dad?
Well, the lady that writes the check is all confused.
Oof.
Yes, I don't know that lady. They would have a really hard time in the front office writing them checks. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I keep thinking, what's his name from Alabama, the running back? He got $48 million, but that's for 4 years. He didn't get much, $12 million apiece a year.
Yeah, and only his first year is guaranteed because they don't pay anything for running backs. I know everybody's mad at Dallas because they didn't get Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry, I know this is going to sound stupid.
Okay,
but if you're not willing to run him like 30 times, he's not that effective. You have to be willing to say, I'm going to run him, and I'm going to run him because he wears on you during the game. First 10 carries, because he's not that fast. Now, he can run over. Those guys are fresh. But in the third and fourth quarter, if you keep letting him, you have to be committed to giving him the ball.
I don't believe I'm going to buy that scenario.
Justin, are you going to buy that one? I think he's one of these guys that has to get a lot of carries to be effective. And in the NFL, they throw it all the stinking time. So
I don't think you need to run him all the time just because now that he's getting up in age and dealing with that foot injury, you're going to worry about.
Well, yeah, that's part of it. That's why
he's got a foot injury. No wonder they let him go.
That's why I don't think Dallas and them wanted him. I think he's a bigger name. Is now
I didn't know he had a foot
Ravens.
injury.
Are you going to take the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands and give it to Derrick Henry a bunch?
Yeah, I knew there was some reason they was letting him go. He got a foot injury.
Well, no, Coach, it's healed now. He's better. He played last season. I'm just saying overall through his careers, like the injuries that pile up. I think, though, we saw that with the Titans where they gave him the ball the whole game, every play, because that's the only thing they could do. So I think we will see them. I think it'll be split pretty evenly, and the Ravens are a run-first team.
All right, I'm jumping around. And I don't have it in front of me. Bet.com, they put out odds on who was going to be the Louisville's next coach. You could bet on that. The first person with the best odds, and it was plus 600, which means you bet 100 to win 600, was Coach Drew at Baylor. The second guy at plus 700 was Nate Oates at plus 700. So you have the second highest odds to go to Louisville. Now, Kenny Payne was not happy. He said that the place was splintered. Nobody rallied around each other there. Is Louisville, they talk about how great the facility, they said that Yum Center is something else. Is that, I saw somebody that listed the top 10 jobs in college basketball in Louisville was in the top 10. The only SEC team that was in the top 10 was obviously Kentucky. Is Louisville, Dad, in your opinion, a top 10 job in college basketball?
I think it can be in a little bit of time. I think Louisville can get back. They've lost what they've had, and whatever happened. But I would say right now, no. But I would say would be if you're looking at somebody that could get back to some status, I think it could if they got to winning and got the right guy with a sort of a name coach that people ratted around. I would say they're going to have to pay big money to do it. But I would say they could be. I don't say they will guarantee they will be.
Now, when you're coming in for these jobs now, obviously the landscape of college coaching has changed. So they're going to they're saying, well, they need to get a guy that's been the Power Five, a guy that's won conferences, a guy that's going to, everybody wants to get Jay Wright. All right. Jay Wright ain't coming back.
He ain't coming back. He's enjoying
So my point is now these coaches, when they go sit down, where on the list of show me what your NIL money is, where does that fall in with show me your facilities, show me your campus, show me your degrees, show me your NIL program? Where does
your first sentence?
Is that number one now?
Yeah, your first sentence would be, "Are we going to have the ability and the funds to recruit?" That's that's what you said in a nicer way. Are we going to be able, as athletic director? The athletic director from Nebraska, I didn't think did jack crap personally. He talked good. He's the new athletic director at Texas A&M today. We're going to be able to have. Do we have the funds coming in? Are you comfortable, sir, with the money coming in to recruit players that we're going to have to? Hey, we're going to have to go against Kentucky.
But I'm saying, like, when you call Bruce Pearl's agent, one of the things you're going to have to, Bruce Pearl's agent's going to call Bruce, and he's going to have to tell him why Louisville thinks he should go there, and they're going to have to say, we're going, when we get you, the NIL money's going to pour in, and we're going to have, at least this, probably more. I mean, don't you have to give these? You got to give Bruce Pearl or Nate Oates or coach at Baylor or whoever you want, the guy at Florida Atlantic. He may not require.
Bruce Pearl's waiting. Bruce Pearl's waiting on Indiana. He'll be gone.
Sure about that?
I'm positive.
All right.
No, I'm not positive.
All right, we'll take the break here. Louisville's at a top 10 job. I don't know. Should South Carolina worry? Guys done a nice job there. The problem is, man, all these guys, like if you hire South Carolina's coach, he could probably just take the whole roster with him. That's the thing I don't like anymore. You go hire, hey coach, you hire me, I can bring half the team with me.
There ain't no transfer rule. I can bring everybody. I'm thinking about bringing the manager.
What's your NIL money, coach? Anyway, 2-minute truck. They're at 1330 Martin Road East. That's where you go pick up your boxes, your packing supplies, whatever you need in preparation for this move. Well, it's a local move, out of town, out of state. Let the professionals handle it. Moving is very stressful, but they will take all your stress away. Give them a call today, 205-247-5050. That's 2 men in a truck. Movers who care.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. The biggest accident we're looking at this morning is a little distance away. It's in the Clanton area. This is going to be southbound 7th Street, a little bit past 4th Avenue. Accident that does have the right lane blocked. You do have a tow truck on scene, so hopefully they'll get this clear soon. But right now you do have a little backup there. No big problems for 2059 drivers, though, across the T-Town area. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. Expect a lot of Alabamians to be headed across the Mississippi state line over the next couple of days. It's been 3 months since there's been a winner in the Powerball lottery. Total jackpot now up to $600 million since there were no winning numbers drawn last night. So Sunday may be St. Patrick's Day, but many West Alabama residents are
or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply. Studies available upon request.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Today should be the warmest day so far this year. A mixture of clouds and sunshine. The high 82. Tonight mostly cloudy. A chance of showers. The low 62. Tomorrow showers and a few strong thunderstorms are likely during the day. The high 74. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 54 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Your home for Alabama Crimson Tide football. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Yellowwood pressure treated pine from Great Southern. Appreciate them being a sponsor of the 7 o'clock hour. Always go to yellowwood.com to find the dealer that's closest to you as you build that 5-star backyard. Use Yellowwood. If it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want to. Do the Yellowwood hotline. Get Tom in. Good morning, Tom.
Morning, Barry. Morning, Coach. How are y'all?
We're good.
Okay. We're doing good. Hope you are.
Thank you for asking. I am. I want to throw some things at y'all and get your response.
Okay.
And the topic is Louisville basketball.
Okay.
Yes or no answer. Louisville has a pile of NIL money. True or false?
Dad?
I think mine is. I'm not sure. I caught you in the middle of my answer because I don't know when they were there with the other coaches they had some. I don't know if they have that kind of money or not.
All I know this.
Football's gotten better, and they've spent a bunch of money on it, Tom.
I know this. Today, Kentucky is going to release a new NIL program for men's basketball that they say is going to be the best in college basketball. That's what they say. So Louisville will have to respond to that. But I would think they can get it now if they get the right coach.
Okay, here's what I heard, all right?
Okay.
This is from another radio show that I listen to occasionally that is more basketball-oriented than they are anything. But anyway, their take was that their source told them that Louisville has plenty of NIL money, and one of the rubs against the coach was that he did not utilize it properly. He didn't make the best decisions with NIL, and they were perturbed about that. But as far as the money, it's there. Now, my second thing for y'all to consider is this: Louisville's in the ACC, correct?
Correct.
The ACC, it looks like, if you go by what I think is going to happen, I think they're by the summer will be falling apart, and there will be teams leaving, and the ACC is going to end up being no more. Would a coach want to leave the SEC and go to a team that's going to be in a conference like that?
Yes. My answer to that is yes.
Why? Why would you want to leave?
Well, I just think I don't think you can go in there and win. I'm not sure that's going to happen when you got Duke and North Carolina as big as they are, Virginia's and Miami's. I think they stay together basketball-wise. I don't think they're strong basketball-wise, but if the money is really big, it would be more, you know, Tom, and I do too, regardless, it's more of a basketball looked at conference than the SEC is. SEC's football dominated, and basketball is really good. But the ACC, I would say in some cases, yes, a person would leave and go there. I don't think anybody's going to, but I think my answer is yes.
Well, also, Tom, when you're like Tennessee football, they were fed up and ready to win. All right, so the new guy came in, and they paid $8 million for a quarterback. I think that's where the Louisville fan is. They're tired of losing. They want it back to the Denny Crum and even the Rick Pitino days. I think they will pay whatever they got to pay to get players in there.
That's interesting. That is so interesting to think about it in those terms. In other words, we don't give a crap what's going on. We want to win basketball. We'll figure the other out. And that's an interesting take. Now, let me ask you this. Your boy down there at McNeese State, it's obvious that he's a good basketball coach, is it not?
Yeah, he's a good coach, yeah. Yeah.
Where does he fit in the picture of Louisville going after him? In your opinion?
I don't think with all the problems that they have with the NCAA, with Rick Pitino and all those problems, NCAA, I don't think he still has a show calls on him. So if he goes, you take the penalties with, nobody's going to touch him I would agree with that. I tried to tell Gary yesterday, I don't think an SEC team will ever hire him. Just because of all he disagrees with me, but he's still got a 2-year show call, so all his penalties go with him, Tom, if you hire him.
You know what? You're exactly right, and I forgot about this. Gary had a guest on yesterday that's a sports director in Lake Charles or somewhere down there, and he said that Will is dying to get back into SEC. That's where he wants to go.
I don't think they'll hire him in the SEC.
I don't either.
I don't think Greg Sankey can stand Will Wade. I think he embarrassed the league with all the stuff that went on, and I think he will strongly encourage the presidents not to hire Will Wade in this league.
Good thoughts. Thank you.
Did you hear me yesterday on that last show? That show I was on yesterday?
In Mobile.
No, the one down here, on our station.
Somebody listening to that show.
No, I didn't.
He got on vacation. They called me if I'd be on for a while. So.
I skip around in the afternoons. I got some various shows that I go to listen to specifically. And but anyway, one of the radio shows yesterday had the ladies women's basketball coach from Shelton on as a guest. My Lord, what a great guest. Jared's had her on before, but she is fantastic. I tell you what, that's some kind of coach right there, don't you think?
Oh, my gosh. 200 straight conference wins?
200 games. I'm telling you.
That's more impressive than John Wooden. 200 straight?
They should be out there chiseling stone today with a staff.
I don't know why everybody complains that Alabama should hire her or whatever. She needs to go find go somewhere else. Somebody in Division I needs to hire her. So.
Go to UConn. She'd fit in perfect up there with that dynasty.
Thank you, Tom. All right, we're going to get to break here. JC texts me. He's going to be on, but he's in his car on his way to Nashville to watch the Gamecocks play. So he said if he's not speaking loud enough, tell him to speak up. So we'll tell him to speak up. All right, let's tell him about Bob Prince and Prince Glover and Hayes.
Problems that come up in your life. Accident that shouldn't have been an accident. Sometimes somebody had fixed something and you fell over it, hurt yourself pretty badly. Another case is somebody comes after you with a bad feeling about you and attacks you. All these kind of problems. You don't know what to do physically or mentally. You're down. Prince Glover and Hayes are the people to visit with. 345-1234. Visit with them. You'll go over the problems with a telephone probably to start with and go by 701 Rice Mine Road. Visit with them some more. I don't ever say this much anymore, but they do know the law and changes in the law because the law changes all the cotton picking time. But they'll do everything they can to help you because you'll be completely lost. 345-1234. They'll do a good job with you. They'll represent you in the right way, and they'll be successful. Prince Glover.
PrinceLaw.net is the website. If they don't win,
we give that to them each and every time they come and visit us. The sense of pride that we have in the quality, the consistency of our food carries over to everything we do in the stores. That's Taco God.
You're listening to Inside the Locker Room with Wimp and Barry, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. I want to thank Yellowwood, pressure-treated pine from Great Southern Wood. The SEC tournament today gets started at noon. We talked about Mississippi State takes on LSU. JC will be over in the arena, I assume, watching Arkansas and South Carolina. The Razorbacks, they were horrible in the first half last night. Then they decided they wanted to play in the second half. But we'll get right to the Yellowwood hotline. He's the owner of thebigspur.com. Joins us every Thursday. JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Morning, fellas. Good to be talking to you today.
How far of a drive is that from Chicago to Nashville, JC?
From where I live, it's about 6.5. I'm cruising through Champaign-Urbana right now, home of the University of Illinois. But it's it's nothing but prairie. Then you get to kind of western Kentucky and kind of come in that way near Paducah and through Clarksville, and then you're right into Nashville. So it's not that bad. Not that bad of a drive at all.
Yeah.
Before we talk about this season, which has been terrific, and he's done a terrific job, are they going to be able to continue to get good players in basketball?
Well, the NIL situation was not super duper this past year. I think here's the thing, Coach. I think South Carolina, and we interviewed Lamont Paris really for the first time on our show this week, and he kind of got into his recruiting philosophy. And they're going to go target guys that can fit their system. And that's it, and I think that if you can get, the top players in South Carolina that fit, they're going to do that. He mentioned something called basketball character. He said, it's not like the regular character. He's like, they won't guys. Yeah, some guys don't have basketball character. They can't be coached. They've never met a shot they didn't like. They hog the ball. They're going to avoid those types of guys. So, given that plan, I think you can find players to fit that. And it's so different than everybody else in the SEC. It can be successful. Now, as far as the players they got now, they're losing Cooper and Mack off this year's team, but they got everybody else allegedly coming back. So they need to find a point guard and then maybe a big or two in the portal. But, that's the whole key to South Carolina basketball. There's been lots of coaches that have had one great year, and then it goes backwards.
Isn't it amazing, though, isn't it amazing that you would never thought this? The women and the men are selling that thing out. I mean, close, maybe not every game, but as they got good, they've really done well in their basketball, both men and women, and the interest has really picked up.
Yeah, Barry knows. I mean, in 03-04, the second year they were in that arena, Barry, you guys played, and you lost that game, but you played Mississippi State really good late in the year, and they're hanging from the rafters. I think I went to the Kentucky game that year. It's just been when you go to one NCAA tournament in 19 years, even though it was a Final Four, and you don't sustain it. And then, like around the time Frank Martin got there, football was as best it's ever been. Baseball was winning national championships, and Dawn Staley and the women were starting to ascend. So it really became like the fourth most popular sport on campus for a long time just because they weren't good. And then you have this gigantic arena. So even if you get 8,000 in there, it's spread out and not loud. But, they've really that building can get good if they have the people in it, and they certainly did this season.
On the flip side, up at Clemson, I thought Clemson had a really good team. They lose 3 of the last 4. They get blown out last night by Boston College, and I was actually seeing some buddies of mine that are actually coaches. I don't think coaches should do this, but they were on Facebook saying it's time for Brad Brownell to go. They're always making excuses for him. They got rid of the baseball coach. This guy's been he was just as successful as Brad. What are the thoughts on Clemson up there? I don't see them making a change there. Do they care about basketball up at Clemson? What's your thoughts there, JC?
Well, he's Dabo's buddy, but Dabo doesn't have, the last time they come out firing him, I think Dabo went to bat for him. And I think when you look at the Clemson job, if you rank all 15 jobs in the ACC, what's that one? Last? I mean, it's got to be sub-Georgia Tech, even though Georgia Tech struggled for a long time. Probably sub-Wake Forest even. It's a football school and a softball school and a baseball school. And they go to NCAA tournaments. They've won some games. They've made, it's just not. It's not a situation where they're going to be a Final Four contender all the time. And I think what Brad's problem is this: he's been there too long, and he's about as exciting as a tire hose.
Yeah.
He's not a dynamic talker or anything like that, which is fine because he's a hell of a coach. I think he's one of the best floor coaches in the game, but he's just not exciting. So he doesn't, inspire anybody. They got left out last year. This was the year they're supposed to make some noise, but who knows? I think you look at South Carolina back in 2017. They kind of got on the other side of the bubble the year before, and then they slipped in as a 7th seed and caught fire and went all the way to the Final Four. So if I'm Clemson people, I'm going to wait and see what happens in the tournament because they are getting in this year, and they do have a really good basketball team.
Yeah, they do. All right, you're on the outside looking in. We're here, so people here don't want Nate Oates to leave, so they tell you all the reasons he's not leaving. And he probably isn't. But I do think something's going to happen with his contract if he doesn't. Louisville's open. Ohio State's open. We'll see what else comes open. Do you see a scenario where Nate Oates or Lamont Paris would leave an SEC school and go to, say, a Louisville or something like that outside of the SEC? These other leagues seem to be kind of shaky, but I'm sure Louisville will come with a ton of money after somebody. Just what are your thoughts on these coaching moves?
Yeah. It's interesting because and I'm actually surprised Michigan's not going to. I mean, I guess when you're Juwan Howard, you can hold on with an 8-23 record there. But Ohio State's a better basketball job than Alabama or South Carolina. That's the bottom line. They are a football school, though. They do have unlimited resources like everybody else. But, you know, like with Lamont Paris, he's from Ohio, but he really wants to stay in the South. He likes the weather better, just like all those people in Myrtle Beach that moved from Ohio. I think he's kind of feeling the weather, and South Carolina, because they're an SEC, because of the resources for the SEC, they can afford to keep him. Now, Louisville is a different animal, and I don't know how you guys feel about this. Y'all were coaches. To me, Louisville is a top 5 to 10 job. It is as blue blood as maybe not North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA, but it is. I mean, they benefited from the stability of having Denny Crum and Rick Pitino back to back. But man, they've won championship after championship. They're in a great league, in a great state. Their fan support. They got a beautiful arena. They are a powerhouse. To me, that would be a job that you may go, you know, I could be here just like Denny Crum and Rick Pitino for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, and 30 years. And so, you know, to me, those are kind of two different animals. But the one I'd look out for is Musselman at Arkansas. You know, there's a lot of talk out there in the media about him not, you know, maybe looking to move on and eyeing some of those jobs.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of money in Arkansas. Okay, I'm at odds with people because I'm saying 7 teams in the NCAA tournament, not 10.
Oh, no, 10?
9, as some of them said. I think there could be 8 if A&M were to slip in, but I'm saying from Mississippi State up. Mississippi State's the 7th team that's still winning some. The rest of them have losing records. I don't keep up with that, who they beat.
Yeah, I think Mississippi State's in. I think whether they lost today to LSU, they'd probably have to go to Dayton, and they'd be right there on the bubble. Now A&M, since they lost to the Gamecocks, they've been red hot. And they beat the tar out of Ole Miss in Oxford by 26. But now they got to turn around and play them again back-to-back in the tournament later today. If they win that, according to Lunardi, they're the first team out right now. Beat Ole Miss again. You have some other bubble teams not do so well. Of course, Cincinnati winning last night didn't help them, but I think A&M could squeeze in by the skin of their teeth.
Okay.
If they have a good tournament, and if they beat Ole Miss, if they beat Ole Miss, and then who's the 2 seed? They play Alabama. If they beat Ole Miss,
no, 2 seed is
Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky.
All right, yeah. So they beat Kentucky once before. So you win those 2, I think they're in. I think they're right there on the bubble. I'd be surprised if Mississippi State fell all the way out, but certainly with an 8-11 SEC record, if they lost today, I mean, to me, that's not a tournament team. As much as I admire that team and think they're really good.
JC, Nick Saban, Greg Byrne, I think the commissioner for the ACC, the 2 twins from girls from Miami, they all been up in Washington, D.C. talking about this NIL. Now, I say the transfer portal's the problem. If the kids had to sit out, that would clean up a lot of this, but neither here nor there. I think what Nick Saban set up there is all correct, but Dad and I finally agree on something. We think it's time for him to just pick up his ball and go home and stop trying to fight these wars of college football, because whatever he says, he gets ripped and torn apart because of the money that he made, because he made so much money. So when he starts talking about NIL, he makes everybody outside the state of Alabama mad. Is it worth it? I mean, are they really going to listen to him? They should, but...
Well, you know, he clearly stated that I mean, he's right. If people would listen to what he's saying, I don't think what he's saying is hypocritical.
No, I think everything he says is right, but people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it anymore.
Clearly, he stated that he thinks players should be paid and they should get some of the revenue. He also says correctly that, you know, when you're at that age and you're developing as a human being and a football player or whatever else, human being most importantly, money can't be everything. It's a long life, fellas. I mean, look, I have some friends that peaked in high school. They're still driving the same CRX with the ground effects, with 4 kids living in a trailer in Duncan, South Carolina. Nothing wrong with the trailer, nothing wrong with working at the, but they peaked in high school. So you have to understand that life sometimes is about avoiding peaking in high school. These kids are in high school, early college. You know, it's not time to go live like LeBron. I don't care who you are. I mean, look at some of the child actors and the life they've lived after being famous at a young age. I mean, it's just it's something that money and fame are great, and I think it's fine to get there. And hey, it's fine if you go to college and you hang it up and you sit on $2 million of NIL money. And I mean, there's a lot you can do with that if you're developed as a human in the right way. And that's supposed to be what college is all about. So that's what he's saying. But, yeah, they don't want to hear it. They want to, you know, they think this should be professional. A lot of people push an agenda. They think it should be professional sports. And a big reason is because of the coach's salary.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but he gets criticized when everything he says is right. But he gets criticized. Is he not finally just look at Miss Terry and say, enough, I'm going to play golf in Jupiter. I'm going to do my game day stuff. I'm tired of trying to fix college football. It's their problem now. I'm tired of getting crucified every time I speak about this topic. Dad and I just think he's had his time. We know what he thinks. Just let it go. Just let it go and leave it for somebody else.
But in fairness, if you're Ted Cruz, I can't believe Ted Cruz was. I watched the thing. I watched the whole thing. I mean, I'm like, that's Ted Cruz sitting next to the Cavender twins. That's amazing.
Yeah.
If you're a politician, who better to get on the panel than Nick Saban? And yeah, I get it, but I think you're right, man. If I were him, I'd just be like, screw it. I'm going to go break down the games every week and be on TV and maintain my relevance and count my millions and play golf and hang out with Miss Terry and the grandkids.
Yeah. Yeah. That.
You studied more than I have. I studied pretty good. Where will South Carolina, what number will they be, and where will they go?
I think that right now, win or lose today, and it's because Kansas is falling apart, and Clemson's gone from like a borderline 4 to a 6. I think South Carolina's right on the 5 line. Now, you always want to avoid the 5-12 game, they say, because you're going to get a hell of a mid-major, most likely, like a Richmond or somebody like that.
Stanford.
Oh, my, I don't want to play Stanford. No, Stanford. Mike Morgan called one of those, what is it, Billy Ball or whatever they call
Bucky
it?
Ball. Bucky Ball.
Mike Morgan called one of their games, and he was like, that guy's unbelievable. I'm like, geez, Louise, you know.
Hired him out of high school.
I mean, hey, if Nate Oates does go someplace, I'm not going too far if I'm Greg Byrne, to be honest. But yes, you don't want to play guys like that, Charleston. You know, I mean, it's just that 5-12 game's tricky. But I do they'll be 5, and I think if they can make some noise, let's say they beat Arkansas, and Auburn's a different team away from home. That's not but they pull the upset there and get. And they could be a 4.
Are you not really proud of McNeese going to the NCAA tournament?
No.
Oh man, you don't want to know what I think about that.
He's trying to make me mad because Will Wade makes my skin crawl.
Dude, that guy, I'll tell you that I will give him credit.
I'll give him credit. I think the guy's a good coach. Go ahead, JC.
He's not just a recruiter. He's actually a decent coach. But that guy shouldn't. I mean, it's hard right now because of all the NIL stuff to say that guy doesn't belong to college basketball because everybody's making strong deals now, out in the open. So I just, it's. I don't know, man. Good for McNeese State.
I got a guy texted me last night. He's He graduated from Clemson. They want Clemson to hire him, get Brunell out and Will Wade in. Can you see Will Wade and Dabo Swinney hooking arms up there? I don't see those two getting along very well.
I think the guy that beat them last night could probably factor in that job, Earl Grant. I think that could be a guy they go after. Or Pat Kelsey from College of Charleston.
Yeah.
But see, Clemson doesn't. When Clemson goes and hires a coach, they're not normally. It's not as attractive of a job as people think, So and they're not rolling in cash up there at being in the ACC either that they're willing to spend on basketball. So it'll be interesting to see who they do target if they do part ways with Brownell. Though, man, at Clemson, how many? There's never been a coach that's gotten fired after going to the NCAA tournament at Clemson. I mean, I can't imagine that happening.
Crap, one of them left South Carolina, got the cotton-picking Final Four. That was the most ridiculous thing in the world. Had the best basketball coach in the world there.
Who?
At South Alabama, South Carolina.
He's got
Frank Martin left after going to the Final Four.
Frank Martin wore his welcome out there. They went down. He didn't capitalize on the Final Four, and people. When you're down there and you're up in people's faces and screaming at them, that don't play anymore in South Carolina.
Hey,
JC?
JC, tell our listeners. We're going jumping around because you got to go. Tell our listeners where people stand with South Carolina football. They like it. They like it a little bit. They don't like it. Where are they?
They like it a little bit. I think the concern is the schedule this year.
A little bit.
I can't imagine it being tougher than last year's schedule. But there's teams on so they don't play Florida, Georgia, or Tennessee. Everybody's comfortable playing those guys. They play Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, so they've got like an SEC West schedule. And South Carolina historically, with the exception of Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, they don't do too well against your Auburn's, Bama's, LSU's, Tennessee, having Texas A&M's, schools like that. So I think they look and they see Ole Miss and Missouri on the schedule. Those teams are going to be hyped. They look at A&M, who they haven't done well against. They look at going to Tuscaloosa for the first time since 2009. LSU comes to Columbia for the first time since 2008. Ole Miss comes in for the first time since 2009. So it's kind of a mystery schedule, right? Now, they have 3 cupcakes, and Clemson, and I don't know that Clemson's back, Carolina could certainly win that game. And then they still get to play Vandy and Kentucky. So I think it's a little overblown, as far as the fear. But they like a lot of the players that they've got. So.
Yeah. Well, JC, before we let you go, if you go to the NFL, all right, you need to get Calvin Ridley's agent. He just signed for $93 million. Got $50 million guaranteed. Calvin Ridley, $93 million? What am I missing here? So hire his agent. He's the agent of the year, JC. Comment on that and then tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, speed is expensive, I mean, that's some of these things, they're crazy. The money dollars, and that's all that. I mean, it's not as football to me is not as crazy as baseball. I'll see a pitcher who's not very good, signed for $17 million for a year, and I'm like, geez.
Yeah.
But it's certainly not as crazy as basketball. But yeah, man, I didn't make good grades in college because I was much more of a partier and a doer than a studier. But by God, if I had it to do over again, I'd have tried harder and gone and been a lawyer and an agent and cashed in on some of this stuff. Yeah. That's where the money's at.
Well, be careful.
Okay.
Tell everybody where they can catch you.
Thanks, JC.
Tell everybody where they can get you.
Yeah. All right, everybody, download the Chief Sports app on the App Store and also Google Play. You can find JC and Morgan. We're going to have a JC and Morgan tomorrow morning. Michael's on the road, so we kind of got behind on that. But be sure to just download that app. It's free. Rate it 5 stars for me if you enjoy my segment here on Side 100, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Thank you, JC. Enjoy Nashville.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right there, JC. I wish I was going to Nashville. All right, let's take this break. We'll come back one quick break, and then we'll get the top of the hour. We got Gary Waite, so join us at 8:15. We'd love to have your phone calls until then, 205-342-9904. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. If you are making the drive on 2059 between Foster's and Cottondale, or the trip on Lurling Wallace down from Northport, crossing the Hugh Thomas Bridge down to University, you're moving nicely. We're seeing light volume on the board and really no major accidents brewing, at least for now.
RiverResort.com. Reconnect at thewallflowers.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Today should be the warmest day so far this year. A mixture of clouds and sunshine, the high 82. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a chance of showers, the low 62. Tomorrow, showers and a few strong thunderstorms are likely during the day, the high 74. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 54 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Need to know what's going on with the Crimson Tide? Then subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
I want to thank Pressure Treated Pine from Great Southern for making this 7 o'clock hour possible. Always remember, if it doesn't have the yellow tag on it, you don't want to take this top of the hour break. Listen to Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
In golf, the Players' Championship, the unofficial fifth major, is underway. Scotty Scheffler is your defending champ. He'll be teamed up with Ricky Fowler and Justin Thomas, and they'll tee off at 1:40 p.m. Eastern Time. NFL news, the Tennessee Titans and former Jaguars wide receiver Calvin Ridley agreed to terms on a 4-year contract worth $92 million, $50 million guaranteed. In the NBA, the Nuggets knock off the Heat 100-88 in a rematch of last year's NBA Final. Denver moves a half game up on Idle Oklahoma City for the top record in the Western Conference. Mavericks beat the Warriors 109-99. Dallas star Luka Doncic, though, left in the fourth quarter with a hamstring injury. His triple-double streak ends at 7 straight games. Kings over the Lakers 120-107. Sacramento's Domantas Sabonis gets his NBA leading 20.
Understand everything you can do with a John Deere compact tractor? You just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get in the seat or visit a dealer near you.
Inside the locker room with former Crimson Tide basketball coach Wimp Sanderson and his son, former SEC and ACC assistant basketball coach Barry Sanderson. It's time to take you inside the locker room on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back to the second hour of Inside the Locker Room. Andrew Conifer is my Allstate insurance agent. Let him become yours out at 4705 McFarland Boulevard, Suite 3 over in Northport. Give Andrew and his staff a call, 205-722-9201. Let them know what you're looking for. They can get you a quote, emailed right there to you. Do what I did over 4 years ago and make the change to Allstate Insurance and Andrew Conifer. All right, get to the Andrew Conifer hotline. Get Philip in. Good morning, Philip.
Morning. Good morning, Joe. Great show today.
Thank you.
Hey, I got an idea on the Louisville situation I've been thinking about, and I think they would do well with any of these guys. My prediction is they're going to hire Hurley from UConn. I think Greg McDermott from Creighton's a possibility.
He just signed a new contract at Creighton.
Oh, but McDermott did, okay. Mm-hmm. I think the Indiana coach, Woodson, I believe Indiana decided last week to keep him.
They did.
Okay. All right. Bruce Pearl, maybe at Auburn, it may be a possibility for Louisville, but he's got it made. He's got a lifetime contract there. He is 63. Like I said back in the fall, I think Pearl's got his eyes on other things other than going to another college. I think he could be headed towards politics in some way or doing something with Israel basketball. if you lose Pearl at Auburn, you got to figure out what's going to happen to Stephen Pearl. So if you lose Bruce to Louisville, you probably lose Stephen to Louisville as well. So that'd be a big loss there. I think the Florida coach is an up-and-comer. As far as Oates goes, I think Greg Burns is about to reveal a few things regarding basketball that will make it a little bit more positive for Oates in Alabama. I think some of it could involve a new arena, but I think, like he said in that podcast with Christian Sykes the other day, I think you're going to see some renovation going on and maybe some seating improvements that might make things, a little bit more appealing to Oates in Alabama.
Dad, comments on any of that?
I don't have any of that. Those speculation stuff is good. I'm sure Philip studied it. And,
the top jobs right now that are open, St. Louis open yesterday, that's not a top job. I don't particularly think West Virginia is a very appealing job to a lot of people. It will be certain people. But the two big jobs right now are Ohio State and Louisville. They should be able to get anybody's attention. Now, who they can get will be to be determined. But if they make a phone call, your agent is hoping they call, because if nothing else, these jobs end up getting a lot of guys raises too, Philip. And so, like Ole Miss got out ahead of it. They gave Chris Beard a new contract after 1 year. Really, they've won 20 games. But at the end of the day, they hadn't really beat anybody, but they were afraid probably one of these schools would come after him and his name, so they went ahead and gave him a new contract. So you'll see a lot of guys getting new contracts now because of these jobs.
Yeah, and one school that's probably going to make a change, it's huge, about as big as you can get, is Michigan.
You think Michigan will make a change? I don't think they'll do it.
I don't see how they can. You don't think they will?
Well, when you hire a guy that was a famous player there, it's hard to get rid of him because you got all those guys around him. So if you got to handle his situation, he had the back problem, so he was out for half the season or whatever. I think they'll be very careful not to kick a hornet's nest there and stir up all those former players. They'll probably give him one more year than he deserves. Would be my opinion. I could be wrong, but we'll see what happens.
Do you think Vanderbilt will make a change?
Do you think Vanderbilt will make a change? Or you think they'll just go with what they got?
I guess they'll go with what they've got. They've got, I don't know how much emphasis they understand. They have an athletic director and a president who don't seem to move very well football or basketball. I think he does a good job offensively. I just don't think he uses his abilities to get out and recruit personally, but that's just me. I think he just don't really work at the recruiting part of it. He's got a good offensive mind, but you got to have players, and I don't think he does.
I don't know if a school like Vanderbilt, Philip, can they take advantage of the portal, or is it hard for kids to get in? It's probably hard to get in there academically, and they probably don't take a lot of your work at these other colleges in as transferable there. So it may be difficult for those guys to get portal guys. So it may be a little bit different job than most of these are.
I'm sure that the academics there make it hard to recruit for Vanderbilt, but going back to the NIL thing, like Coach Saban was saying and has been saying, and we've even said on this show here with y'all, is that nobody talks about academics anymore. So I don't know. I don't know. But I tell you, Barry, a school that used to resonate all the time, and I heard about them all the time. Live over here in the LaGrange area and West Point, where I live. But you don't hear about anything, and I couldn't tell you who that doggone basketball coach is. That's shameful because I keep up with it. Georgia Tech, they don't even resonate anymore.
Oh, they got the famous player from Arizona that's there. Oh, gosh. What's his name?
They got the AD from Alabama.
Yeah, he Stoudemire is the coach there. It's his first year. Yeah, it's his first year. He played at Arizona. We'll see if he can, they had Josh Pastner there from Memphis for a while, and now they got Stoudemire there. So we'll see if he can change. I think that just where Georgia Tech is located, a lot of people don't want to go there and be in all that mess, but a lot of guys love Atlanta, so I think it should be a pretty good job. I think Georgia, that's the one job I don't understand. Like, watching those guys play last night, that is the most boring basketball that they play. It's hard to watch.
They have no interest in basketball. They've got no interest in basketball.
No.
They don't care. They do not care. And they haven't in a long time. But anyway, I'll end it by saying Hurley is going to be my guess for the Louisville head coach.
All right, we'll see. Thank you, Bill.
What did they decide to do? What are we doing with NIT?
Well, I mean, if you won your league, that doesn't guarantee you a bid. So, I guess they're just going to select the top 32 teams and put them in 4 different regions and seed it 1 through 8, and higher seed gets a home game. I guess the format's going to be the same, but picking the teams. So I can see Ole Miss going to NIT. I don't know about any other SEC teams. I guess if Texas A&M gets in the NCAA tournament, I don't see any other SEC team getting in the NIT. Do you?
No, I don't. I don't. They take somebody with a losing record. They could, but the people on the fence are a little bit of just Mississippi State and Texas A&M as to whether they're going to get the NCAA or not. I think one of them will, maybe both of them will. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just don't. You look at Ole Miss; they'll probably get in, but Georgia's not, Arkansas's not, Vanderbilt's not, Missouri's not. So you think Arkansas? I think sometimes those teams that get a game under their belt could make a little bit of a run. I wouldn't be shocked to see them win today, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But we always said about South Carolina, and they always come back and win. But as far as the being tired, that won't have anything to do with it.
No, they'll be fine. They got a game under their belt. We'll see if they can win. All right, we'll take this break, and we'll get to Gary Waits. Gary's he's over in Atlanta, correct? Gary's from Georgia, a great player here at the University of Alabama. I believe he won 3 SEC championships in a row.
Had a great game against Tennessee, and they had a lot of great games.
Was it Tennessee or Vanderbilt? I know he was up in Vanderbilt. All right.
No, he was at Vanderbilt.
Yep. All right, we'll get to Gary when we get back. We don't think Tuscaloosa Toyota. Go to TuscaloosaToyota.com. We talked to Justin yesterday about that new website, and it is outstanding. If you want to rent a car, you can do it. If you want to look at all the new inventory, the used inventory, order parts, whatever you need, you can do it right there on the website. Or swing by Skyline Boulevard, see the 2024s. We talked about the Grand Highlander. They got the Tacoma trucks, the Camrys, the RAVs, whatever you need out there at Tuscaloosa Toyota. Swing by there today and tell them that Wimp and Barry sent you. Listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. We have picked up an accident on Skyland Boulevard near 31st Avenue. It's not blocking any of the roadway, though, and not causing much backup. But be aware of that one. Potential problem spot for you there. 2059 from Foster's out to Cottondale. That's moving nicely with light volume on the board and no big problems.
Text support to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Today should be the warmest day so far this year. A mixture of clouds and sunshine, the high 82. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a chance of showers, the low 62. Tomorrow, showers and a few strong thunderstorms are likely during the day, the high 74. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 55 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Two-time state champion and two-time NIT champion, Barry Sanderson breaks down the latest in sports on Inside the Locker Room on Tide 100.9.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. We'll get right up to the Yellowwood hotline. He was at the University of Alabama from 87 to 91. Got better each and every year. Came in with a knee injury, rehabbed that. In his last year, I didn't realize I was looking at his stats. He may not even remember this. He shot 51% from three.
Should have shot more.
Yeah, should have shot more. But Gary Waits. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Hey, Gary.
Hey, good morning. How you guys doing?
Barry, when I call Gary now, he's coaching.
He's coaching his son.
He's got a son. His son's a good player, and he is telling me what the coach has done wrong. It's like when he said to me, Coach, I can't please you. Get you another point guard.
I bet his wife is mean.
Oh, she's in there too.
She's all over the coach.
In fact, she coaches more than he does. That's great.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's where you guys got to get it right. I don't say too much during the game. I teach after the game.
Yeah, but your wife is coaching during and after and before, right?
Yeah. She mainly gets on the the referee.
Yeah.
She's one of those referee type of moms.
Yeah.
She's one of those. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it.
You had so many great games for us and such a good player. The Tennessee game, the finals, that final in Nashville was at Vanderbilt was. Talk a little bit about that game or any other game that you played in that you enjoyed.
Yeah, that was a very memorable game based on, Tennessee with Allen Houston had gone through the SEC tournament, surprising people with their new offense compared to the regular season. They didn't really play that well, and they changed the offense up, and Allen Houston was just on fire, and we came out with we had a much better team in my opinion, but Allen Houston was just playing really good, and so, you strategize for us to, I guarded him some and Keith Askin guarded him some and held him in check and, hit some big shots in the second half. I think I ended up with 22 points that game, winning our third straight SEC tournament for my senior year. So that was probably the most memorable one based on it was my last year and really good game. And, after the game, they announced the all-tournament team and, Allen Houston got the MVP of the tournament, even though he lost, and the whole crowd was yelling Gary Waits. So it made me feel good, but didn't get on the tournament team or didn't get MVP. So it's all right. We still won.
I got the rings.
Yeah.
You got
talk about those. You talk about winning 3 straight. What was the mindset going into the tournament? That doesn't happen by accident. So obviously the preparation going in for an SEC tournament like that, to be able to win 3 straight is very, very difficult. Just talk about what changed when you guys got there.
Well, Coach Sanderson changed the offense up. That's the number one thing, I think. Every season he would surprise them with a little tweak in our offense, and you play a team twice every season,
sure,
and they know what you're going to do. It's very hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. By the way, we beat Auburn, I think. 2 years, we played them 3 times and beat them all 3 times, which is very, very difficult to do. But Coach Sanderson would change the offense up. He put a little wrinkle in the offense and a little bit in the defense, and it would just surprise people. And so that's the first thing. And the second thing, we had, it's not like today's game. You had guys that worked together, that stayed together, and got better every year, and we knew each other. So there was total team chemistry, whereas it's very difficult to get that today, because there's a new group of guys coming to a team every season. So I don't think you'll ever see a team win 3 straight SEC tournaments ever again.
Yeah.
Well, nobody. Yeah, when he came in, you got hurt. When did you get hurt before you?
I got hurt when I went to. So when I was in high school, I was selected to play on the Junior Olympic team in Germany.
Yeah.
And went over there, and we went in the game by 30 points my senior year in high school. It's about a minute to go in the game, and they start throwing cups on the court. And I was dribbling the ball and just slipped on a wet spot on the court and tore my ACL, So wish that never would have happened. I wish I never would have dribbled, and, wish a lot of things would have been different back then. Yeah. But, I got hurt.
It didn't make no difference. I mean, he worked so hard. I'll interrupt him, Barry. He worked so hard to get himself ready. We tried to push him as hard as we could, but he worked his fanny out. First time I ever saw him, of course, I've already told the story. I won't tell it again. Was in Atlanta, and he was
Gary. Maybe talk about what you feel like the point guard's responsibility is. You were a tough guy, and you basically would handle if y'all were having a bad practice, you didn't have a problem getting up in a guy's face or getting after guys. And that's a great trait to have. You want your point guard to be the coach on the floor, be a leader. I'm sure I don't know what position your son plays, but I'm sure you talk to him about those kind of things. That he's got to affect everybody on the team. He's got to do it in the right way. Sometimes you got to yell at him. Sometimes you got to pat him on the back. Just talk about, did that come natural to you because you were very good at it?
Yeah. So I talked to a coach the other day about just the point guard, and I think that's a role that is becoming extinct in basketball. When I look at it now, I don't see true leadership on the court, true sacrifice, that's required to be a point guard. Because, of course, I got the ball in my hands. I can shoot every time down the court if I want to, right?
Yeah.
But I know the other four guys on the court with me are very, very important. So, and you have to communicate with each one of those guys differently. You can't communicate with them the same way. So you have to have so many more attributes than just dribbling and shooting and passing a basketball. It's a mindset. It's a psychology behind being a point guard. I think point guards are born. I don't think you can make a point guard, right? So for me, I talked to my son about how everybody matters and how you need everybody and how you can motivate each person to be what you need them to be on the court at any time. It's just communication. It's a little push here and there, a little pat on the butt sometimes. It's a push in the shoulder real hard when they're not playing hard. It's a getting on them hard when you need to for some players. So it's a true extension of a coach is a point guard. Now, today's game is not necessarily the point guard that's having those discussions with the team. So I just don't see how true point guards now are affecting the game as much as they did, because assists are not as important as it used to be. It's just one-on-one play and shooting threes more so today than actually creating a play for somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's just different.
Yeah.
Any other games you can think of that come to your mind that you enjoy playing in, or that when you get back, you think about a lot of things. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, the game that I wish we would have won more than any other game was when we lost at Georgia. We lost there 4 consecutive years, and that last year, I thought we were going to win the game, and we ended up losing. But that game, I think I had 34 points that game, and we lost. And all my mom and my friends and my girlfriend, they were all in the stands. I was like, man, I want to win that game so bad. We lost by like 2 points, I think.
Yeah.
That game right there, I was going against one of my best friends, Rod Cole and Latero Green. They both live here in Atlanta, good friends of mine. And so it was good to go against some guys you compete against, a good defensive team, a tough team. I think they even won the regular season SEC that year or the previous year. Yeah. And so it was a very tough team and, really good game and gave my lifelong friend 34 points. So that made me feel good, but we lost the game. So that's the one that's most memorable to me. I talk to him all the time.
Oh, do you?
And so, yeah. So that bothered me. And then Kentucky, we were at Kentucky. We could have won that game in Kentucky my senior year, and we lost that game too. So those are 2 games that I think about that I wish we had back. And then in the NCAA tournament, the biggest one is Loyola Marymount. Yeah. Losing to them would have taken us to the Elite 8. Yep. And that year Hank Gathers died, I was like, God, I wish we could have got that game.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, those
you did a great job, Barry.
Yeah.
Gary, talk about this year's Alabama team. Mark Sears he's a scoring point guard, but he's a guy that kind of lets the game come to him. He's not a high volume shooter. He'll be patient, but he's a relentless driver, makes big shots. Just talk about what you've seen with this team. They had just 3 guys returning, so 9 new players. So they probably have overachieved a little bit. They head to Nashville. They got the double bye. They're sitting there. Probably will play Florida. They'll know later on today. But just talk about this team that you've seen.
Well, it's Mark Sears. I think you said it right. Mark Sears is the catalyst. I think you're exactly right in my assessment when I saw him losing all those players and got so many new players coming in. Like I just mentioned, very, very difficult to get team chemistry, right? Yeah. So you got Mark Sears coming in there that's willing the team with his toughness, with his big shot making, with his tenacity driving to the basket. To me, he's undersized to play as big as he does in those moments. Even guarding guys is bigger than him. He's a very, very tough player, which allows the team to see, okay, this is my senior. This guy is working hard, so I got to do, or at least try to match his energy, you know. And so he, by far, is the reason why they're where they are in this season, in my opinion. You know, leading the team in scoring, and I think the SEC leading scorer, right?
I think it's behind the kid at Tennessee, Connect. I think he's probably the second. Yeah.
That's right, the next scorer. Yeah, so he's second leading scorer, and I'm amazed with his toughness. You know, I really am surprised he hasn't injured himself as hard as he goes to the basket and challenges big men. Love his game.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you know, you got to get a little bit more when you get deeper into the NCAA tournament. You got to get more production out the inside game. So that's still my concern. You know, how much Pringle's going to give you and other guys inside is going to give you inside. If you get 10 to 15 points from the guys inside on average, then you got a pretty good team, because the guards for Alabama are relentless and tough and can make big shots. So I'm excited to see, you know, the tournament, how it plays out.
Could you explain to the listener what kind of practice y'all would have had if you gave up 117 points to Kentucky the next day?
There would be no basketball. I'll tell you that.
There would be no
basketball. You wouldn't need a ball practice. Coach Sanderson would, or him and Coach Hobbs. Coach Hobbs, remember this, Dave Hobbs was the defensive coach, per se, for Alabama when I was there. We wouldn't touch the basketball.
No.
We would run stadium steps. We would run sprints. We would dive on the floor for the ball. It just wouldn't happen. You know, it just wouldn't happen. But, you know, the game has completely changed, though. You know, you evolve into three-point shots, and you're going to start making these shots when you only are coaching three-point shot attempts. You know, your offense is surrounded by or geared around how many three-point shot attempts you get up. Then you got to be able to take it if you're going to dish it out, right? Yeah. So that's what's happened, and it just wouldn't happen in our era, because we just didn't shoot that many threes. We were much more aggressive defensively, in my opinion. We just wouldn't allow that.
You think you can coach guys like Dad coached you guys? Like, I remember the one practice when David Benoit had missed curfew or something, and and they ran him. Like, I honestly thought the kid was going to die. He was running. Yeah. He was dizzy. I think they were doing the break drills and made him get in there with every team. And David would probably tell you, you know, that type of work ethic is what got him on to the NBA. Where now these kids would probably leave. They would probably leave.
They'd be gone.
They'd be gone, wouldn't they?
Yeah. It just I'm not going to say the kids are not tough. It's just they're tough. They're talented, but there's an easy way out now, right?
Yeah.
So when there's an easy way out, you know, you can just go to another school and play the next year and be welcomed with open arms, right? So it just makes it easy for somebody to quit or somebody to say, I can't do this no more. And I hate it in a way, but I understand it in another way. So I don't think you can ever coach players that hard anymore. I just don't think they can take the wrath of a coach running you like that. You know, I remember Rocky Coben ran us. He ran us one day 60 40-yard dashes, 60 in the middle of the day in Tuscaloosa on the football field.
Yeah,
60 40-yard dashes. You ask a guy today, he's probably going to transfer.
Wow.
Yeah,
he was terrific, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he wouldn't. If you didn't get the time, it didn't count, right, Gary? I mean, I'm talking about 0.1 seconds if you didn't get it.
0.1. He didn't play. I remember one time we were in the weight room and I was doing squats. I probably had 300 pounds on my back, and I'm doing the squats. And I finished the 10 squats, 10 reps. He said, Gary, got to do it all over again. I said, why, Coach? He said, you did the second one wrong. But why you didn't stop me on the second one? He let me go the whole way to 10 and said I didn't do the second one right. So, you know, that's that right there, you know, with the way Alabama, from the strength and conditioning program to Coach Sanderson demanding toughness and excellence and running hard, you know, it makes life easier because, you know, you just don't you just don't let adversity get to you as much when you've gone through so much. You know what I'm saying? So these are life lessons that I don't think
Yeah.
these kids
You know,
understand.
Rocky's favorite saying was, "You only need 5. I only need 5 of you to make it. That's all you got. You only need 5
That's
to
right.
play." So,
And that's what I'm saying. You know, these guys, they playing 10, 11 guys in a game. Coach Sanderson wouldn't play that many. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, tell everybody what you're doing, what you and your wife are doing. Both of you in the same thing, aren't you?
Yeah. My wife is selling diagnostic testing for cancer patients, and I'm selling products for cancer patients to treat them. So she's selling a test that can determine which drug will go best for that patient that has cancer, and I sell a drug for cancer.
Right.
So we've been doing that for a while. I did, devices, and now I'm selling oncology products, trying to, keep cancer patients alive. So we both.
That's terrific. What about Peyton? Is he through?
Peyton is a junior in school right now. He's starting AAU season right now. As you know, basketball is a year-round sport now, which I hate. But he just finished. He finished in the Final Four at Woodward Academy here in Atlanta, and they lost in the semifinals. So that's a good season.
Referees.
Yeah. Did your wife yell at the referees during the game?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. And I just sat down. We don't really sit together during the game.
No, you don't need to sit with us. No.
Yeah, I'm quiet during the games. I don't really do too much. But yeah, they just finished that, and they're already starting AAU practice. So it's year-round sport now.
Oh boy, who's he playing AAU with, Gary?
The Atlanta All-Stars.
Okay, yeah.
It's a team. Coach Sanderson, the coach knows you actually. It's Coach Miller, and actually one of the coach on the team used to be with Coach Avery Johnson down in Alabama.
Okay.
Hamilton. God, what's his name? But anyway, he's a younger guy. He was on the staff with Coach Johnson down there when he was at Alabama. So he's got good coaching. It's intense practice, and they practice 3 days a week. They don't just have these AAU games like most of these teams do.
Good.
Practice is much more important than the game. So that's what I wanted for him. So he's finally on the team that I really like.
Good.
I want to thank you for being on, and you know what I think of you. I ain't got to tell everybody what I think of you. So you were terrific, and I appreciated you coming with us, and I appreciate the way you played and the way you led our team. And boy, we had a great team, and you were a big part of that.
Coach.
So tell everybody I said hey, and keep up with me. If you get that, I'll get through Birmingham. Come by and see me.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay.
All right, there's Gary Waits.
What a kid.
Tough. He was a tough kid, tough young man. He would hold his teammates accountable, though. You can bet that. Which is nice as a coach, to have a player that will hold the teammates accountable. So it makes your job easier, where you're not having to always get
He
on
hurt that knee. He hurt that knee very. It was really devastating. He was first time I saw him play in Atlanta in a tournament, he was. And he's still quick because he worked his fanny off to get it back. But he was like lightning. He was so good.
All right, we'll get to break here. Let's talk about a great sponsor, Bryant Bank.
Well, Bryant Bank has the 4 locations that I usually start off by saying that because I think it's, we have so many people that listen to our show from Tuscaloosa. But if you're in the area, you're coming into Tuscaloosa to bank, certainly Bryant Bank would be a great place. Or if you're in Birmingham, Gulf Shores, wherever it might be, they're going to do everything they possibly can to make it a homegrown bank for you, for a bank that you can come in and visit with them. And I've been with them for a long, long time. They give you unbeatable service. They're always close by where you can get to them. They'll give you online banking. It's accessible around the clock. They'll just give you the freedom and really the flexibility to bank the way you want to bank, and they're going to look after you while you're in there. They're going to try to help you. They're going to be courteous. They know the banking business. Each one does. Each banker that's involved in that building will know it. Fraud attempts now that we see all the time, people are trying to come in and target your money. They'll handle everything, being darn sure that nothing like that happens to you. I started banking with them for a long, long time ago. have a couple of accounts with them, and they just absolutely perfect people. You may be in a process of trying to buy a home. Archie Weaver's there at the Bryant Bank to help you there if you're in Tuscaloosa. They'll do everything they can to see that you get right treatment, and if you go in there, they'll know you by name, and I think it's darn important. Bryant Bank, a local bank, right there in Tuscaloosa or throughout the state of Alabama. Go by and tell them you heard it on Inside the Locker Room.
All right, we'll open the phone lines the rest of the show, too.
They even do pest control and lawn care. Full service, Alabama Professional Services at alabamaprofessional.com.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
For more from Tide 100.9, let's it fly and there's it. Whoa. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and SoundCloud.
Welcome back to Inside the Locker Room. All right, we go up to Locust Fork, the Yellowwood Hotline, get Greg in. Morning, Greg.
Greg.
Good morning, guys. I'm not in Locust Fork today. I'm in Nashville.
Nice.
It's the first time that I've been here, and we've been for about 15, 20 years, and I never remember this many people being here on Wednesday. It's going to be
I could not. I don't know what they did last night. I could not believe the crowd. They gave away tickets or just let everybody in. That crowd for those two games last night was unbelievable, Greg. I've never seen it that full.
Well, it's. I mean, everywhere you walk, normally it starts this, after the day.
Yeah.
But man, it's thick today. But I'm excited. I wanted to call in because I love Wake. I mean, he was one of my favorite players, and I loved that interview there. But I finally feel like I wish we could get back to those tournament days when your dad was there because he was the best, and I never missed those games. We always loved those. But what thrills me is that we seem like we're getting better at basketball, and we won 2 out of 3, and hopefully we can keep going. But it's a great time. It's a great tournament. It's it seems like to me the interest in basketball has really ramped up everywhere, and there's a lot of interest, and I've never seen it up here like it is right now. But I'm excited to be here. I love basketball and love to watch these teams, and there's a bunch of us been coming for years, and we just enjoy hanging out, and it's just a good week. And your daddy's one that made us this way, the way he used to coach.
Do you see many Alabama people walking around yet, or is it who has the biggest fan base?
I'll be honest with you. Well, the biggest group, the Big Blue.
Yeah.
But it's not like it used to be. When you come up here, it was like it's 25,000 of them,
Yeah.
To this point, it's not like
they're coming, Greg. They're coming. They're coming.
I know it. It'll be so loud you can't get in. I just said I got tickets. But the biggest thing, I think the interest from other places is improved. And now it'll be Kentucky, but it's not overwhelmingly like it has been. Of course, they got another day or two to get here, but it's just a bunch of folks. I ain't never seen it like it is. There's a crowd of folks down here this early.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think for some reason the timing this year, I know Alabama, a lot of the families are on spring break, so maybe they're up there. I don't know. It seems like you're right. The interest for the tournament. Dad, could you believe those crowds last night that they had?
I could not. That's unbelievable.
I don't know what they did, but it looked great on TV, Greg.
Well, it just, and then you had 2 great games.
Yeah.
I mean, they were both great games. So it's just a lot of interest, but I appreciate you, Dad. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy listening to your show.
Thank you.
You guys do a great job. I listen to everybody. I don't get to call in all the time, but I listen every morning. The whole family does.
Thank you, Greg. Enjoy it.
Have a good day, guys.
Enjoy it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's look at today's games real fast. Look at the lines here. Mississippi State, I did hear their coach being interviewed, and, he's done a good job. I think he's kind of a no-nonsense guy there. They take on LSU. LSU pretty much lost their entire roster 2 years ago. So for them to win 9 games this year in the SEC, I think it was probably a pretty good season for those guys. Mississippi State is a 4.5-point favorite. Dad, I think they're probably in, but this probably would help them. They don't need to lose this game today. It might, put them square on the bubble. What's your thoughts about who wins this game at noon?
Well, I hope Mississippi State is able to win. I like their program, and I've known their former coaches so long. Mississippi State's very, very good defensively. They need to get some shooters a little bit more. They got the one guard that can just shoot the lights out. They need to be good inside defensively against the big guy of LSU that shoots the ball well. Tulu is a good player, and I don't know about the Bell kid who hadn't played quite as much as he did inside, but they've got a chance to if they can score a little bit better, shoot the ball a little bit better consistently, and to win this game. But it's not going to be easy. It's a toss-up game. You said 4.5 point Mississippi State favorite, so we'll see what happens, and I sure hope Mississippi State wins.
Arkansas, who played last night, takes on South Carolina. We pick against South Carolina every game, and they seem to win. They end up 13-5, 25-6. If they'd have won that Tennessee game, they'd actually be the number 1 seed. South Carolina, 6.5 point favorite. Sometimes when teams played one game, it helps them. They were lucky to win last night. Played much better in the second half. Your thoughts about this game?
Well, the team that was picked the worst end up the best. The team that was picked one of the best end up the worst. Very interesting that they play each other now. If you drove in here today and you hadn't seen any of the SEC at all, you just say, "Oh, Arkansas is going to be a huge favorite in this game." If you didn't know what happened during the season, Arkansas is playing. Have not played very well at all and not substituted very well. Had a chance to beat Alabama if they'd have taken it inside. I'm a little bit surprised of the what did you say, 6.5 points?
South Carolina 6.5 over Arkansas.
That might be a little bit high. South Carolina is a team that really plays well together. They shoot it pretty darn well. They're a team that's going to be hard to beat, but Arkansas has the ability, and the winner of that game, of course, plays Auburn. I'll continue with Barry. What Barry's thought is that, as most of you know, when Auburn went to Arkansas and blew them out this year, the first game, everybody went crazy. Biggest loss Arkansas has ever had, and all that kind of stuff. Well, they continued to get beat. They did beat Duke at home, but outside of that, it was something we thought was really big. Didn't turn out to be so big the way Arkansas played. But whoever wins this game today will have their hands full with Auburn, because I think Auburn's playing darn good, and we'll see what happens there. But it should be a toss-up game as far as I'm concerned. Even though Arkansas is athletic, Mitchell Kidd inside is darn good. There's just something there that I can't put my finger on.
Yeah, I think they had some locker room issues. I don't know if they got them solved there. All right, we'll take this break. We'll come back and look at these last two games, and then we'll make way for the Gary Harris Show. You listen to Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. It's the home of Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. As we wind down the drive-in for this Thursday morning, we still have our accident near the intersection of Skyland Boulevard and 31st Avenue. However, it's out of the roadway, no lanes blocked, and no visible backup through the area. A drive on 2059 from Foster's to Cottondale and 69 up from Hale County. You're moving nicely, light volume on the board as we wind things down this morning. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Join Tony and Brett here at The Game on Thursday as we sit in for Ryan and continue to be the most unprofessional people in radio. What's our lineup today, Tony?
We're going to be slapping around Bozo Bounds.
Like it.
We're going to be punking T-Bob Abear.
Can't wait for that.
And then your favorite man crush, Josh Pate.
Pate State. Can't wait. Let's go. Hey, roll Tide. See you on Thursday for the game.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa.
6th Pearl River Resort Silver Star Convention Center. On sale now at pearlriverresort.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Today should be the warmest day so far this year. A mixture of clouds and sunshine, the high 82. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a chance of showers, the low 62. Tomorrow, showers and a few strong thunderstorms are likely during the day, the high 74. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 57 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Mr. SEC Tournament Wimp Sanderson gives you his excellent analysis every weekday on Inside the Locker Room, right here on Tide 100.9.
All right, looking real fast. We got about 2 minutes. Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Texas A&M is 5.5-point favorite. Ole Miss, new contract for Coach Chris Beard, but I think they go home today from the SEC tournament.
Think who goes home?
I think Ole Miss goes home.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Don't think they're quite as good personnel-wise as I thought they might be.
Last game, Georgia, Florida. Florida 7.5-point favorite. A lot of people picking Florida possibly to win this tournament. The winner of this game takes on Alabama tomorrow night. Real quick, Florida 7.5-point favorite. They're going to beat Georgia today, don't you think?
I would think so. I would think they would. Georgia's just very average.
Yeah.
I think Florida's got a good chance to do that, yeah.
All right, then it gets going tomorrow. It does seem like the crowds up there are really good. I was blown away, like we said, by the crowds last night, and I'm sure they'll be great today. And I'm sure the Alabama people will start going. I think Alabama went up there yesterday, so they'll probably get maybe some shooting in at the arena this morning, go somewhere else and practice. It's a long wait until 8:30 tomorrow night, but they got to get up there and get in place. So we'll get out of here and we'll make way for the Gary Harris Show. We'll be back tomorrow. Melvin Cheatham will join us. We'll have hopefully Coach Sonny Smith will join us as well. We'll look at Alabama's opponent and find out what happened in all these tournaments yesterday, see if there's any more coaching news. Generally, when teams lose and the season ends, you have some coaching information. We'll see what happens there as well. Appreciate you, Justin. We'll get out, make way for the Gary Harris Show. You listen to Tide 100.9. It's the home of Alabama sports. Have a great day, everybody.
Oh,